Technology is great when it works, I think. Due dates, like I mentioned, for Chapter 6 is coming up Wednesday of next week. Our exam then will be the following Monday on the 8th. So for today, we're going to keep practicing our templates that I gave out to you. I'm hoping they're helpful, at least get us in the mindset of what we're trying to accomplish anyway. So I'd like to begin today with our first problem here. Exercise 47 in the book. Remember I gave out 2 packets. It's the one with not the template itself. It's just a plain paper one. 47. The only requirement of this problem is to do the physical flow section. And basically, this is the first step of our template. Remember, there's 5 steps. This is the first step in that template, or creation of a template. So, let's take a look at it. Beginning units. 91.5. Ending units 25.2. And started units 99,000. We can simply add these together for units to account for. So where does the 195 also appear?
On the bottom.
On the bottom, right? So this number has to appear here as well. These have to match. All right. Now, I don't really have a line here, but I want to have the completed units right above it. So to get that, I'm just simply going to subtract, right? Take the total minus that 25.2, and how much do I get?
165,300.
So we talked a little bit about this on Monday. I'm going to give you 3 out of the 4 numbers, and basically you got to use the template to get the 4th number. So this is that experience doing that. Now obviously, this number is equal to these 2, 1 and 2. My units in beginning were 91.5. So I'm going to put those in green. And again, to get the units started and completed, I'm going to work backwards. So my total of the 2, 1 and 2, is 165.3. I subtract the 91.5, and I get how much?
73,800.
73.8. So here again, the template's helping me find the unknown, so to speak. How are we doing? Okay. I'm going to check my Catherine. She's not back in yet. All right. For the problem itself, that was basically all that needed to be done. But I also want to practice my step 2 computation. So this is all a step 1 in our 5-step process. Now I want to do step 2. Equivalent unit. If I'm looking for an equivalent unit, right, it's got to be a percentage of some number. So under the weighted average method, remember we have 2 methods, weighted average and FIFO. Weighted average, our heading begins with the word completed units. How many completed units did we have?
65,300.
Excellent. 165.3. Does everybody agree? It's coming right from up here. I'm going to multiply that by a percentage because that's what equivalent unit is, a percentage of work. How much effort did I complete this period? 100%. My EUP, or equivalent units of production, is 165.3. Just multiplying them out. In addition, right, we have ending WIP. How many units did I have in ending work in process?
2,200.
25.2. Very good. What does the author say? How complete were those units?
25%.
Excellent. For equivalent terms, that's going to be 6,000 something?
6,300.
6,300. I add them up for 171,600. So under the weighted average method, right? Let me get out of the way. Under the weighted average method, my EUPs are 171.6. Okay, now, remember we talked about cost per unit, right? It's a division. What's on the bottom number then here?
The ER.
The So that's the goal of computing this equivalent unit, is to get that bottom number for our cost per unit. And now we don't call it cost per unit, we call it cost per equivalent unit. So on the test, I can easily ask, what are the equivalent units using the weighted average method? I can also ask, what is the cost per equivalent unit using the weighted average method, right? What's on the top?
The cost amount.
Cost. When you say cost, Tom, what are we talking about? What 3? Direct materials, direct labor, what kind of applied now, right? Because we're using normal costing. Very good. And remember, under the weighted average method, we combine current cost, right, plus beginning WIP dollars. Both together under the weighted average method. You have to keep that straight. Because it's different under FIFO, right? And we'll get to that next. Are we ready? All right, FIFO method. This is in the appendix. This is in the appendix for the chapter. We're covering that also. So the words change. Instead of the word completed, it's now going to say started and completed units, which were how many?
73,800,
73.8. Very good, Michelle. What percent?
100%.
100%, because I want to figure out the EOPS. That's when we multiply by a percent. My EOP then is the same number, obviously. 73.8. So this is the FIFO method. Next. I have to what? To finish beginning with units. First in, first out. We don't mix cost from a prior period under the FIFO method. So now we have to separate that prior from current. So to finish those beginning units, how many units did I have in beginning with?
91,500.
Now here's the first stumbling block, right? What percentage do I put here?
74.
70.
Everybody agree with 70? Why 70? It's the complement of 30. Okay, that's true. But what does 70% mean?
They need that amount to complete the job.
Right. I did 30% of the work last month. I did 70% of the work this month, right, to get them finished. First in, first out means what? Those beginning units are done first before I do the next units. So 70% is the number here. What is that equivalent to?
64,050.
Okay, how do I finish this then? Ending with units, because I worked on those this period, right? And this is no different than the weighted average. So we had 25.2 in ending WIP times 25% equals 6,300. It's the same way. 25.2 times 25%, 6,300. We add up 3 then, instead of 2 numbers. And how much do we get equivalent unit-wise?
144, 150.
Could someone corroborate? That look good? Okay. So that's step 2, right, in our production report. That's what we call it now instead of a job order cost sheet. It's a production report. And our step 3 for FIFO method is cost per EOP, which is, again, my bottom number is 144, 150. What's my top number?
Your current cost.
Current cost. What's missing? What's the difference here?
The beginning.
No beginning cost, right? Please, please, that's the biggest stumbling block again on the test. I'm looking for FIFO. I only want current cost here for FIFO. Guys, if you get through 3 steps, you're pretty much on the home stretch then, right? Those first 3 steps are critical that those are right on those reports. Okay. Are we all right? Should we try finishing up our big problem that we started on last week? Problem 65. Let's shoot for that one. I gotta find it. For those that weren't here on Monday, you'll have to basically jump in where we left off. There's no other way around it. Obviously, I keep these notes. Please add to your reports when you get a chance. You guys get a chance to do homework after you leave? I hope you do. It's not easy. All right. So we got through Department A. Just as a review, remember step 3 here. That's kind of where we left off just on our last problem. We came up with our cost per equivalent units, 229, 345, added them together to get a total. And also, this is weighted average, so we combine beginning cost with current to get our cost per unit. And then in step 4, the job is to show how much transferred out, and then how much is left in ending with for that department. And then we finally reconciled at the end. We compared these two numbers to see how close we were. We were within $16 here because of rounding issues. Does that all ring a bell, hopefully? Now, Jade, Austin, this template that we're doing now is what you need to do for your project, your 50-point project, Excel. So you'll have one worksheet for each department. So on the second worksheet, second department, we transferred over two numbers, the started units, which were the completed, and then we also transferred over the current cost. And now we've added a new column called trans in. And you'll see that up here in step 2 as well as step 3. Transferred in means I brought those partial, that part from Department A into Department B. So this transferred in is treated like a material. Think of a second department. I cannot start my job until I get those parts from the other department. Let's assume I'm on a press break. After the press break, they go to the welding department. Well, I can't weld anything unless I have those parts. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So, looking at problem 65, right? We got to go to the Department B column on page 326. How many units did I have in beginning inventory in Department B? 8. Does everybody see that 8,000? Add them up. Must match what? Bottom one? What other number did they give me? In Department B. It's got to be units, though. I want just the units, not dollars. Transferred out. What does transferred out mean?
They're completed.
Completed. Means the same thing. So I have the word completed here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But really that's transferred out. So here again, they gave us 3 numbers, basically. I got to find the fourth, which is how much?
3,000.
3,000. Step 1 is complete. Catherine, can you see now? Okay, that's awesome. All right, so 4 to B then, we come down to equivalent units. Please type in beginning units. Oh, shoot. Sorry. Completed units. I'm getting ahead of myself. Ending with. Completed ending with. Before I bring in my numbers, always what percent is completed?
100%.
100%. So those that weren't here on Monday, on your Excel templates, I know it doesn't show here, but I want a column with a percent column in it. You only need that for step 2 here, when we come up with our equivalent units. So please add a percent column. And 100% of which number?
33.
The 33, right?
Mhm.
Let me change colors here. Okay, now ending units.
50% completed.
Yes, 50% complete. Does everybody see that percentage in the book? 50% are the ending units for Department B. But be careful. It's only 50% on 2 of the 3. This is a non-uniform input. I want to put 100% for the transferred in column.
Why is that?
Think of your production line. I'm in Department B. I can't start until I get my Department A parts, right?
Right.
So once I have all those parts, 100% of them, then I can go and do my part.
Oh, okay.
Now, as I'm working on that part, I'm adding more material, right, in the second department. I'm adding more labor and overhead in the second department. That's why they're at 50. And again, our production supervisor says that's how far we got at the end. So on those 3,000 units, right, I'm 100% done for those transferred in because I'm not going to add any more. I'm only 50% done on material and labor, basically. How does that sit with everyone? We'll practice some more on that, but that's the hard concept to visually think of how it's working in my production system. So 100% of 3 is 3,000, 1,500, 1,500. Total them up, 36,000, 34,500, 34,500. And that finishes step 2. All right, now going back to our cost, step 3. Remember, we brought in this cost from the prior department. They're blue numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I go back to my first worksheet, here are my blue numbers, 28 and
60.
way on the bottom here.
Yep, the bottom.
Transferred out. That's what we moved to the next department. So that's where those numbers are coming from. And your worksheets will have to do the same. Your second worksheet will pull in through a cell reference that number, right? So let's fill in what the author gave us for beginning cost, $45,320. So I want dollar signs here on the Excel worksheet, right? It's top of a column. Direct materials had 0 and 16,800 for conversion. And then obviously we would total those three up. And then on the current cost side, you see a question mark for transferred in. That's already done because we pulled it in from the first department. 37,950. And 128,100 for conversion. Guys, what does conversion mean? The sum of what two? Direct labor and overhead, right? Applied overhead. Very good. Now we just add them up. So go ahead, add these numbers up. Since it's a subtotal, I want a dollar sign on it. I hope I did my math right. You can let me know if I didn't. I came up with 388,890. Is that right, guys?
Yep.
Look good? Okay. All right, we're not done with step 3. What do we got to do now?
Cost per equivalent unit.
Yep, we got to get this cost per equivalent unit. So it's dollars over units, right? Just like we did on our first problem today. We're going to take step 2's number now, the equivalent number, and we're going to divide these out. Now it's up to you guys how you wish to do this on your template. You don't have to have the numbers there. You can just in your formula do a division, right? I'm just putting my numbers here just so we can see what we're doing here. And on your templates, department mixing is going to be to 2 places rounded. For your encapsulating, it's going to be 4 places. So rounding will be here on this formula. 206 divided by $5.72. We're going to have a rounding issue at the end. No way around it. $1.10. 420. We add up those three, right?
Yep.
And how much do we get there?
1102.
1102. Per EOP. This is the number that that production supervisor is watching, right? That shows it whether it's going up or going down and where the possible problems could be. All right? We're almost done. We're on the home stretch. Any questions? Let's get our headings in first. I'm going to raise this up taller. Completed. And I'm going to have 3 lines here. Ending with transferred in, ending with direct materials, ending with conversion. That's why the box is a little bit bigger. 3 lines for ending with. So we'll start with the completed. How many units did we complete?
33,000.
And I'm just going to multiply that by what number?
1102.
The total. Remember, those units have made it, have all the material in it, have all the transferred in cost in it, have all the conversion cost in it. So we're going to multiply by 11.2. $363,660. It's kind of redundant, but I'm going to put them in all the 3 spots. Put them in all 3 spots. I hope you have enough room on your sheet for this. I'm going to do transferred in, direct material, and conversion in. So 3 more multiplications, 3 more to do. All right, for transferred in, how many equivalent units did I have? 3, right? So I'm getting that number from step 2, the equivalent units. So 3,000 times what?
1102.
Not 11. 572, right?
Yep.
For materials, what's my equivalent units for materials? Step 2 again.
1,500.
1,500. Does everybody see where that 1,500 is? And what do I multiply that by?
110.
The 110, very good. Conversion, what number do I have?
1,500.
1,500 again, times 420. So this is why we have to multiply 3 different times. The equivalent units will change as well as the amount of per unit. So if the question is, how much cost was transferred to the next department, how much would you tell me?
25,110? Or wait,
Careful.
363,
The 363, 660, right? This is the number that I'm gonna take to the next department, or if this is the last department, where is it going?
Finished goods.
Finished goods. So am I debiting or crediting finished goods?
Debiting, yeah.
Debiting, why?
This is inventory. Inventory.
So inventory is an asset, I'm gonna debit, and makes it go up, right? What am I gonna credit then
Um,
for this amount?
Yep. Department
work
B.
in process and then whatever department.
Yep, WIP Department B, right? Whatever the second department is. Very good, excellent. Those are the journal entries you need to know. Secondly, if I ask, what is the balance of the ending WIP in Department B? How much cost is in Department B at the end?
25,110.
That's the 25,110. What is my cost per equivalent unit in Department B?
1102.
1102. Okay. Or I might ask, what is the cost per equivalent unit for materials?
110.
The 110. So with this one problem, I can ask 3, 4 different questions on it. Multiple choice questions. Remember, for the test, I will give you a template. So you'll have that with you. Or if you want to, you can have a weighted average template in your Excel and you can put the numbers in that way. Whatever you prefer. I would strongly suggest that you turn those templates in though. Because if I can grade off of those rather than see now marking them all wrong, because you have a rounding error somewhere, that would be beneficial for me.
So how would you want us to turn those template and
If you do it on Excel, you'll have to do a printout, or just give me the Excel worksheet.
just email to you?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the problems, there's probably 3 or 4 on a test. So we'll have 3 or 4 worksheets ready to put them in, and then just give me the file.
Okay.
That sound fair?
Yes.
Okay.
I have
No.
a question.
Diane?
So I created a template and trying to get at that 363660 number.
Yep.
It's rounding, so your difference is always gonna be 0. So the way I round it, I use precision rounding. So my numbers come out exactly right,
That's cool.
but.
Precision rounding, man, not heard of that. What does
yeah.
that mean?
So what it would do, so the dividing number.
Oh, up
Wait.
here? Up here?
No, actually, it's the bottom part. If you do the 3,000 times $5.72, $5.72.
Oh,
those-
here.
All those.
Yep.
So it will give you, it won't round correctly. It will give you, if you go back to step 8, or Department A, for example, my transferred out instead of 167.20, it's 167.35. So those $16 that we were off rounding, I was able to correct that with the precision rounding function.
You'll have to show me that. I have no,
Yeah,
I've
I
never
don't think
used
I
precision
don't think I ever
rounding.
used it. You said
So, well, then I took it one step farther, and so I'm asking, can I do this? I just created a template to plug in the numbers that they give us,
Mhm.
and it's gonna do it all for me.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Okay,
That's hashtag awesome, in fact.
okay,
Yes.
so that's all I can use that.
But you'll have to tell, I don't want to waste any more class time, but let me see what that precision rounding does, and I would like to share that with everyone then.
Okay.
Mhm. Cool. So what you're saying is that you'll never have a rounding difference between,
It will never be off.
it'll never be off. Okay. But just remember, see now, we'll mark it wrong then.
Right.
So,
So.
because it's rounding like I'm rounding to 2 places and have a difference.
Yeah, so.
Yes.
Which, so I can do the template and have them all wrong and?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, and I'll fix it.
okay.
Yeah. But for your 50-point problem, probably don't do your rounding. Who's your partner? Oh, Kershaw. So,
I did it both ways, so.
did you? Okay. I was going to say you could give me the Excel file as is, but enter in C now the way we're doing it.
Because the C now one is a TSA one,
Yeah.
so.
Well, forget that. I'll fix it. Do it your way. Okay, Kershaw, you have a choice. You can enter the numbers as you want to. Diane's way or the round
Get the
that we're doing.
flexibility of it.
Okay. I do want to get started on problem 66 before we take our break. If you turn your page, it's the exact same problem, but FIFO. So I like these two because we've done it weighted average first, and now we're doing it FIFO. So I'm going to point out the differences between the two worksheets. Hopefully that'll help you keep them separate or not get any more confused. So let's start with our headings. Let's get them in at least. For Department A, we have beginning with and started. This is the FIFO report now. So then we have started and completed. I'm going to write this awful small, so those in back, I'm hoping you can see this. Started and completed. To complete or finish beginning with. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Just call it beginning with. And then ending with. That's what I wanted, step one. Going down this worksheet here, step 2 section, we're going to have completed. FIFO method, started and completed. Maybe you guys should wait till I finish and then maybe write it down. Finish beginning with. And then ending with. Going further down, step 3, beginning with and current. Now I'm going to put a dollar sign on here. So step 3 is the start of our dollars. Dollar information, cost information. And here too, again, we've got conversion, which is direct labor plus overhead, applied overhead. I'm going to add them two together. I want that to be done on your project as well. Add the labor and overhead together. And then finally, at the bottom, started and completed again. I'm going to write awful small here. To finish beginning with. Beginning with cost from the prior period. Ending with both direct materials and ending with conversion. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines available on that last step 4 section. Sam, can you see back there?
Yeah.
You're cool? And obviously, these are all dollar amounts right in here. Okay, so back to Department A. On page 326, what's my beginning units? 5, right?
No, right on 67.
We're back in Department A, right? So we're back at that 5,000 for beginning units. What else do we know?
25,000 for started unit.
25 started?
Yep.
Total is 30 then, which matches the next total. I'm going to draw a line here. Okay. How many units transferred out?
28.
28.
Which is the sum of our started and completed and beginning. So we must have did the 5,000 first, right? FIFO flow,
Mhm.
first in, first out. We finished those first, plus we did what? We started and completed how many more? 23. So right now is a difference, right, from what we did in weighted average. We just took 28 and that was it. We mixed under the weighted average the beginning and the current. FIFO, we keep them separate. Ending units were, well, it must be what? 2, right? 28 plus 2 is 30. So we haven't done a full FIFO one yet, so this is going to be all new for everyone. Any questions? Everybody see the difference in headings? Started and completed? And beginning versus just completed? Under the weighted average. Let's add our percentages. Started and completed, we finished them, right? So they're 100%. Okay. How much effort was used to finish those beginning units?
%60%.
Michelle says 60. Why is it not 40?
Because that's how much was already done.
That's how much was done already, right?
Mhm.
Very good. So this is 60%, 60%. Ending units, how complete were they?
80%.
80.
How come they're not 20?
If they're
We
done-
did
not done yet.
80% of it.
Because it's ending with, we got so far, and that was it, this period, right? It's work done this month, that's what we gotta work on. Correct, very good. So I'm just gonna take the 100% times 23 this time. Started and completed, right?
Mhm.
23,000. 23,000. 60% of what?
5,000.
5 is 3. 80% of
2002.
2. Is everybody looking okay on this? FIFO method. I would like you to put X's that are not in the total. $16,900, which is the sum of 10 and the 6,900 in the beginning cost. Remember to come up with a cost per equivalent unit under the FIFO method, current cost only. Current cost only. Materials 57.8. And conversion was 95,220. I'm not going to do a subtotal here. It's not worth it. But I'm going to put my division here. Because I'm going to equal $209 under materials. $345 for conversion. So I'm going to add these two together to give me 554, right?
Yes.
Wrap it up here, 153, 220. Or is it?
153,020.
All right, Michelle. Is everybody here at this point? 554? We're good? I'm going to take this number now, the 16.9, so I don't forget it. How many units did I start and complete? From step 1?
23.
The 23, right?
Yeah.
So what am I going to multiply this 23,000 by?
554.
The 554. Very good, Ruby. That's my started and completed. $127,420. And that's what comes up here. Okay, now I'm at to finish. What number am I going to grab here?
5,000.
Not the 5,
Oh, 3,000.
the 3, right? 3,000 of effort times what? Which number?
Wouldn't that be the 5.54 as well?
554.
Yeah, it should be the 554 because those were done, right?
Yeah.
So these are all things that were transferred out. So that the full cost, 554 again. $16,620. The sum of those three then are the transferred out. $160,940. So I'm adding those three up, the 127, the 16,6, the 16,9, come up with $160,940. And then finally, our ending WIP. We have ending WIP materials, ending WIP conversion. What were the equivalent units?
1,600.
1,600, very good. And I'm going to multiply those by the material, yep, Michelle, and
And the 345.
the 345. Ah. 3344. What's the last number here?
5520.
About 116 off. Unless you're Diane, then she's perfect. Did I make a math error anywhere that you could see? Okay, let's take our first break here. We'll finish up this section. On our template B, or Department B, I've already put the headings in. Starting obviously with the physical flow section. So take a few minutes here, if you haven't done so, and write these headings down. What is coming from Department A? Started units, which is how many?
25,000.
I'm in B.
Oh,
I don't want 25. What number do I want?
Three.
28.
28, I think, right?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
28 is what I'm looking for. These were the units completed in A and transferred to B. What is the cost that was coming over from A? 169.40, right? This number here is going to B. 169.40 is going to be. So I'm going to put that here. On the transferred in column, right? Those are coming with those parts coming in at the beginning. All right, so now let's go back up to the physical flow. My beginning units in Department B were 8,036 total, which also becomes my subtotal here. So you got a match. I'm going to draw another line here, all the way across. How many units did we complete?
33.
33. So the sum of these two, right, has to equal the 33. So beginning WIP were 8,000. So what must be my started and completed then? How much, Teresa?
25.
25. Excellent. 25 plus 8 gives me the 33. So what must be my ending units?
3.
3. 33 plus 3,000 gives me 36. We've got it done. Right? Okay. Step 2. Let's add our percentages first. Started and completed will always be what?
100%.
100%. So these are my 3% columns. I'm going to squeeze them in here. All right, FIFO method. How much transferred in to finish our beginning units did we do this period?
100%.
Beginning units were 50% done, right?
Yeah. So 50%.
It's actually
Oh, 100% for the first one.
0. 100% below for the ending units. Remember, these 8,000 units, right? We had them last month. We didn't finish them. Those are not being transferred in this month, them 8,000. I'm transferring in 28,000, of which 25 we finished, 3 is left. So of those 3, right? That's the work we did this current period. I know this is a tough concept. This is really where it gets fuzzy.
Can you say that one more time?
Going back to the beginning units,
Right,
we had those already.
right.
They were last month's that we didn't finish. So I didn't do anything to those 8,000 units this month for transferred in.
Oh,
The 50% is what?
it's a material conversion.
Material and conversion that I added to those 8,000 units.
Gotcha.
They were transferred in already last month, so I don't have to do anything with that. That's
No.
0. But my ending units, right?
Yeah.
That 3 is part of the 28 that I brought in. Well, that I did get all of that done right now in this period. So of the 28, 25 I finished, 3 are still sitting there. So that's why this is 100%.
Okay.
This will always be the case for transferred in. Those beginning units will always be 0. The ending units will always be 100%. And we're gonna practice that again next week, so if it's still a little fuzzy, don't panic, because we'll have next week too yet. All right, let's go back to the finished, what did we do to finish those beginning units? For materials, now, for whatever reason, the author picked 50%. This 50 here is the complement 50. It's not the 50 that is the complete part. So again, these units were 50% done for materials and conversion. What did I need to finish them? 50% more.
They do 50, so you get confused.
So yeah, it stinks. I wish they would use 40 or 60 or some other bloody number other than 50. But remember, this is the complement number, right? The what did we do to finish them? And then the ending units are the same 50. But there's no relationship between ending and beginning, right? These are different units in ending. These are the 3. The beginning is the 8. Okay, so what do we have for numbers now? 100% times what for started and completed? 25. Uh, 0% of 8,000 is 0. 4, right? Because there was 8 in my beginning WIP. I'm simply taking the percentage times my beginning, and then 50% of ending units. How many ending units did I have? 3, right? Ending units are 3. 50% of 3 is 1,500. 1,500. Total them up, 28,000. 30,500. 30,500. This is really hard. This is the hard part. If you can get this concept, if you can understand this concept under the FIFO method, it's going to be a pretty easy test. But you got to understand those percentage columns. Okay, so let's keep going. Our total cost in beginning is $45,320. Department B, 16,800. 62,120. Everybody understands why I'm not putting those numbers in the individual columns. FIFO method, I can't mix, right? I can't mix beginning cost with current cost. The transferred in we already have at 169.40, 37,950 for materials. Conversion is 128,100. We add those 3 up. $326,990. I'm just going to add that to the 62,120. 389. 110. Get out of the way. 389, 110,000. I'm not going to do a subtotal here. Kind of foolish too. So I'm just going to divide by the equivalent units. get a cost per equivalent unit. And rounding to 2 places. One actually came out this time. $11.19 was my total for all three. I'm sorry. $11.19. Guys, is my math okay?
Mhm.
Going down to our cost transferred out computation, started and completed. Oh, let's bring the number down. What number do I got to bring down right here? What was my beginning dollars? Yes, very good, Polly. Very good. 62,120. Again, I'm going to put an asterisk here. I'm grabbing that from right up here, bringing it down to here. And now I can do my started and completed cost computation. 25,000 times 1119. $279,750. And then to finish my beginning whip, I got actually nothing here, right?
Mhm.
But I had 4 here and I had 4 here.
20,000.
So 4 times $1.24, 4 times 420. Basically, you're looking at whatever has a number in it in step 2. You're going to multiply it by its corresponding cost. $49.60. $16,800. I'm going to add those two. 21,760 to finish. That's the cost to finish those beginning. Did I do something wrong to Polly?
No, I have a question.
Oh, okay.
Then why we didn't do the same thing in the department 1A?
Because they're the same number. So you're right, what I should have done, right, is took 3,000 times 209 and 3,000 times 345. But I took a shortcut. Because they're the same number, I was able to take just this times the total.
Okay.
I got the same answer. But what's different on the second department, Polly, is I have 3 categories, 0, 4, and 4. So I can't just
Okay.
take the 4 times 1119. That won't work, because I have different numbers up here. If you want to be consistent, then yeah, just take 0 times 575, 4 times, if you want to be consistent, and do that all the time. You'll get the same answer.
Or could you add the 124 plus the 420 times 4,000?
Yep, you could do
Yeah.
it that way
Oh.
too.
Because then that would be consistent with
Correct.
Part A.
Correct. Yes. Yes. As long as these numbers are the same, then you can add these together. Yep, very good point. Excellent. I'm glad you're asking questions. So, are we cool here?
Mhm.
If I add these 3 together, what did I transfer out then? 3, 6,
360.
that look good? I'm just adding those 3 numbers together. These 3 here.
Is it 363, 630?
Oh, 630, sorry. I got it right on the paper, I said it wrong.
I probably just heard you wrong, Tom.
So I spoke wrong.
Okay. Let's do the ending whip. It's kind of the same concept, right? We got ending whip, TI, DM, conversion. And we're just going to take the step 2 number and multiply it by the step 3 number. So we had 3, 1,500, 1,500. Step 2, step 2, step 2, times step 3. 3,000 times 575. 1,500 times $1.24. 1,500 times 420. And that will finish it up. Were we close?
$70 off.
Yep, $70 off. Wow. Okay. So how much was left in ending WIP in Department B?
25,410.
25,410. Very good. Excellent. Two methods, either is acceptable. Most companies don't use this method because it's a lot more complex. But
Yeah.
obviously, computers would be doing all this work. You wouldn't be doing these templates, that's for sure. But the goal here, again, because production basically never stops, there is no end of job. It's continuous month after month after month, year after year. So this is the way that those costs are accumulated and transferred out. This is the only way you can do it. So, a lot of numbers. How do you think you're feeling right now? Is it making sense?
Yeah.
We have next week after practice, right?
Mhm.
If it's still a little foggy. Please let me know if you're not understanding something. I had a student in another class that was struggling with something and I couldn't get her to ask the question. There's nothing shameful about asking a question in class, so please do so if you can. All right, I do want to show one more thing before we leave for the week. It's on the project problem. So if I could have you go to page 327. I want to point out a couple of things on this. I'm afraid the problem crosses 2 pages. So it starts on 327, it goes to 328. Nature of the beast. I'm hoping that what I show you will save you some time. Time is so precious. So we have 2 departments. We have a mixing department, encapsulating is the second department. It's the weighted average method. So from your templates, I would like you to use the templates that I gave for problem 65, right? That is a weighted average problem. Problem 65 is. So these are the templates that I would basically like you to use or use as a guide to do your Excel. And a couple things here. One thing it mentions that each gallon makes 1,500 capsules. So, in the mixing, the unit of measure is gallons. In the encapsulating, it's capsules. So that's a big problem already. Because when I transfer out, let me clear the ink here. I transfer out 140 gallons into the next department, encapsulating. Well, you're going to have to convert those gallons to capsules by multiplying it by 1,500. So remember we talked about cell referencing that number in for started? These are my started units. Well, now you're going to have to do that plus multiplied by 1,500. Look at the numbers here. I'm at 208. Well, that's the number of capsules. So that's why these numbers are rather large compared to the gallons on the other side. So that's one item. If you noticed here for overhead, what I would like you to do for the project is combine labor and overhead, and what do we call it? Conversion. So just like our problem 65, you'll have materials and then you'll have conversion. Well, you'll notice here that labor and overhead are two lines, and the applied amount has a question mark. Could I have you turn the page to page 328? Page 328. What is the applied rate for the mixing for the first apartment?
150%.
200%.
200%.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
That's all right, Ruby. Right? I'm going to have to multiply the labor cost by 200% to get what? The overhead amount. What is 200% in a decimal equivalent? 2. Right? Once I multiply by 2, that'll give me the dollar amount for the overhead, and then we add the two together, right? To get the conversion amount. Is everybody okay with that? So you multiply, what's 282 times 2, guys?
564.
564 is the overhead amount. Well, I'm not going to have a column for labor and overhead. I'm going to have a column called conversion. I just add those two together, right?
Yeah.
So 564 plus 282, that's my conversion amount. What is the applied rate for the encapsulating department?
150%.
So guess what? I'm going to have to multiply the 20 by 150%. I'm going to have to multiply the 1944 by 150% to give me the applied overhead amount. Now, this is set up very similar to our problem 64. I'm going to split it in half here. This is our beginning WIP info. This is our current info below it. And then again, just like our problem, the percent completes are on the bottom. So again, be careful how you read the page. Now I'm going to take a snapshot of this if I can. So that's going to be in my notes for today's class. So if you didn't catch something, that's going to be in my notes. What I want to do now is I'm going to clear this. Oops, sorry guys. I want to show you one more thing. Step 1. It's a little messy. You know how on our templates we have step 1 right underneath each other and they have to equal? Here's step 1. The physical flow. You can see the units to account for. These two have to match. for whatever reason, I don't know why, they even give me these templates, I didn't make these. They put the steps 1 in 2 halves here, okay? And then next to step 1 is this little row called step 2, which is the equivalent unit. Okay? Now there is no percent column here in C now, right?
Mhm.
So you're just going to have to take step 2's equivalent units off your worksheet, right, your Excel, and plop them in here. The rest is pretty similar to the template then. But this really throws a lot of students off when they see this. Okay? One final thing. Let me clear my ink here. In the mixing, the first department, the cost per equivalent unit has to be rounded to 2 places. This is what
Okay.
C now is looking for. The dollar amount is rounded to 0.
So hold on.
Whole dollars on the cost transferred out and the WIP on the other end, on the ending WIP. Your rubric tells you that same information. The cost per equivalent units round to 2 for the mixing, round to 0 for the ending. Yes, I would like to see the round command in all of your formulas where you're multiplying or dividing,
Okay.
right? The difference, though, is when you get to the encapsulating, because the numbers are so big, for the cost per equivalent unit, I'm going to capture this again. Here's the second department. Cost per equivalent unit, round to 4 places. That formula has to have the round command to 4 places for the second department. Whoever's doing that, if you're doing both, that's fine.
What is it called? Cost per,
Equivalent unit again, where you're dividing your cost by the equivalent units. Step 3 here, round to 4 places. Down here, round to 0 again. Whole dollars on the dollar amounts transferred out and ending WIP. Now I think the first department they come out perfectly, but the second one that doesn't, you'll have a rounding issue here. But just let it go. Let it go wherever it is. So I'm going to capture this too. So that we remember to round to 4, round to 4 on the second department, on the first round to 2, and then the step 4 numbers all rounded to 0 on both departments. That's the key with those computations. Again, if you do it differently, that's fine. Just let me know. I'll have to fix it then when I look at your CNOW work. Good. That's
So,
it, guys. Oh,
On the C-now part, they want you to, I see it says like round, but then we're doing round to 0.
CNOW is looking for the same thing.
Okay.
So what we're doing in Excel, what I'm telling you to do in Excel is exactly what they're telling you to do in CNOW. All right. Good luck. Have a good weekend. Doesn't sound like Saturday's too good, but the rest looks pretty good. We'll see you next week, Monday.